Hello, I'm Marco and I walk you through the telemetry briefing today. I start with an overview and introduction of the telemetry components, then I show you how you can install it in your vehicle. We go through some mounting guidelines, I show you how to do the self-test, and then finally we look at some telemetry race procedures. Telemetry is all about transporting data from one location to the other. In our case, it is a vehicle that is on track and that is equipped with an onboard computer, or in short, OBC. This OBC sends data to an OBC to an IoT server and receives data back from the IoT server. The telemetry system consists of several building blocks. So we have the pod that is on top of the vehicle and connects the vehicle to the internet, has the usual antennas. It is connected to a backbone that is located in the engine compartment and acts as a hub to a variety of sensors depending on your energy type. And the whole telemetry system is supplied by its own battery. Most of the teams install the telemetry system behind the firewall, and this is also what we recommend. We also recommend to place it far away from electronic troublemakers such as ignition coils, inverters, any power electronics, you name it. If you want to install it this way, where you have, for example, the backbone in the driver's compartment, you could do so. However, we don't recommend it, but please check with the telemetry team. Now let's start with an overview and how we can integrate the telemetry into your vehicle. Let's start with the OBC pod. The pod is on top of the vehicle. It comes with a 4G antenna, GPS and Wi-Fi antenna. When you mount them, please do so gently. Make sure that especially the GPS antenna has a clear view to the sky of about 90 degrees. And also make sure that the pod is facing driving direction, and that when you place it on the vehicle's body, that it is within 20 degrees plus minus of pitch and roll. 20 degrees. So here we see an example that is not so good, because we don't have a clear view to the sky of 90 degrees. It is obstructed by this steep wall of the vehicle. This is a good example because we have a clear view to the sky, it is facing driving direction, and it is placed on a non-removable part of the body. This is what we generally recommend, so you mount it there and it stays there the whole week. I want to pay attention to these fragile pins here, to this connector. As you can see, they are pretty small, so when you in the paddock you have screwdrivers around, just be careful, and just in case if one pin breaks or bends, or if you see something like this, like a cable is pulled out and it's clearly damaged, no worries, you bring it to the telemetry station and we replace the damaged part for you. Now let's move on to the backbone. The backbone is installed inside the engine compartment and it comes with a cable and a clamping mechanism. So the clamping mechanism works like this. You can rotate, and you can see it's kind of a spring load function. You can push, you can release, you push, rotate, and now the spring load function is charged. What you do now is you move the shaft through the hole in the body. You add a foam pad, and then there is a mounting plate with the 4 magnets, and make sure they look upwards. You slide in the mounting plate like this, you pull back the shaft and you rotate back, and as you can see, the clamping mechanism kind of pulls the mounting plate against the car's body. Now all we need to do is we need to fasten this connector here, the pod connector, and that's it. As you can see, there's no moving around of the pod. The magnets make sure it stays in place. One important thing, when you place the backbone, make sure that you're able to lift the pod so that you can put at least a fist underneath. This is the reason for this is because sometimes you have to exchange the pod, and this would not be able if you could only lift it for this small height. Let's move on to the battery. The battery lasts for about 4 hours when it's fully charged. Fully charged means it has 5 bars. 5 bars is 100%. We need to have at least 3 bars when you go out on track. So 3 bars is 60%. 2 bars, for example, would be 40%. Then you need to recharge. One warning: when the charge is too low, a red light will be flashing here, and this means you will be delayed to go out on track. So then we have the battery holder. You slide in the battery into the battery holder. You mount it like this, but not like that. This is also okay. And then you plug in the jack into the backbone where it says power. So this would not be acceptable. A team used tape in order to make sure the battery will not move, but in that case we could not replace a battery, for example, that is too low. So don't do this. Please also don't use zip ties around here. This is also a nice example on horizontal installation, worked very well. You always need to make sure that you can exchange the battery at any time and it doesn't fall off. Let's go into the cabling. So first of all, it's very important that everything you see here on the table, which is the telemetry system, should not be in electrical isolation, must be in electrical isolation towards the vehicle body and the vehicle chassis. And it must stay away from electrical fields. So in order to do that, one trick is that we fully isolate the mounting hole where we place the OPC pod. So we put tape on top, on the bottom, and also in between, so that we have fully isolated situation here. There is no chance that the OPC pod is connected to the body. And then finally, what we do at telemetry inspection, that's why I already tell you how we do it. We use an ohmmeter here, a multimeter. So one probe we put at the ground of the telemetry system, which is the ground, the last pin at the power of the backbone, and the other probe we put on the body, we put on the chassis, and then the minus pin of the joule meter, and the value must be larger than 100 kilo ohms of resistance. If it's larger than 100 kilo ohms, we are fine. If you don't achieve that, please check with us at the telemetry team. Some rules now, or more guidelines: don't use loops. So a loop always will pick up noise from the environment, so they act like antennas. So what we must ensure that there is no area. So what we can do is we can kind of wind them up and then make them flat. Like you see here, flat cable, flat cable, flat cable, so there's no chance that electrical noise is picked up by the telemetry system. Second, make sure that the cables are mounted securely, that they are far away from electronic troublemakers or from chains, and they are fastened, that you can use zip ties here. So you need to make sure that the cables will not move, and then I don't want to see any dangling cables in your engine compartment. Another guideline is that you use strain reliefs whenever possible. One is, for example, here where you have a strong CAN cable will help the weak power cable, and just use a zip tie here and the strain is relieved. Very important is the connectors. You can see here the CAN cable comes with the so-called M12 connectors. So when you do the turning, there is a certain point when you are sure the connection is established, and this is the certain click at the end. So you need to do a click here, a click there, a click here, and then we need this click to make sure it's fully connected mechanically and electrically. And now we are done. We have installed everything as we wanted. We can now do a self-check. A self-check means we can turn on the telemetry system, which means switching on the OPC pod and switching on the joule meter. This is what we call switch on the telemetry system. Now we have to wait 60 seconds. It takes some time to boot, and then we are able to do a check. And the check means we need to have a really stable LED configuration here. So for example, in that case, the amber light is blinking, and in 99% of the cases we forgot to switch on the joule meter. And you can see when the joule meter is switched on, it goes back to a steady light. And this is what we want. We want to have steady lights, then we are sure the OPC is working correctly. Let's review what we have done, what we have covered. We looked at how to install the pod, how to install the backbone, how to wire the cables, use strain reliefs, secure mounting. We looked at the battery, 60%, and the resistance or the isolation between the telemetry system and the car's vehicle body and chassis, 100 kilo ohms. This is important. So now let's cover some race processes that are specific to the telemetry system. So let's say you are in the paddock and you intend to go out. Either you want to do a practice run or you want to do an attempt in the competition. Please switch on the telemetry already in the paddock. It takes some time to boot and to connect to the GPS, and so make sure that you have 60% charge. You switch on the telemetry system, means switch on the pod, switch on the joule meter, and that you have a steady amber light. Then you move to the start area, you cross the start line, you do your laps. When you cross the finish line, don't switch off the telemetry system, because now we want to upload the data for later use. So you switch off the telemetry system when you're back in the paddock. Switching off means you press here for 5 seconds and you switch off the joule meter. And in this state it will be if you are not out on track. It is switched off to save battery. So now if you want to make a deeper dive into the components, or if you want to download STL files, check out the Telemetry wiki. Here's the URL, here's the QR code. It brings you to the Telemetry wiki. It will be updated throughout the year, so don't lose the code. So we are at the end of this briefing. I guess we see each other at the help desk and then the tech, and I expect a steady light. Good luck on the track. Bye bye.